Hi, this is Lori from CustomizedWalls.com and one of the moderators for the interior design community on Google+. And we have a great show for you today. We're talking graphics. Everybody loves graphics. It's what makes the world go round. We share our pictures, we share our graphics on social media, on our blog, and through our website. But a lot of that is much more tricky if you're not a graphic artist. So we're going to talk to a real graphic artist and get him going and ask him the tough questions about what we should DIY and what we actually probably should go to a professional for. So hi, Ryan. Introduce yourself for us.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Rhodes. I am the CEO and lead graphic artist at ReformationDesigns.com. It's a company that my wife and I started here in Silicon Valley about 3 years ago now. And I'm just happy to be here and happy to share my experience and some thoughts with a great panel of people. So,
thanks so much. We have all of our some of our moderators here at the bottom. I'm going to let them introduce themselves also. We've got Susan Sarah, who's our kitchen and bath industry moderator. Hi, kitchen. Hi, Susan, not kitchen.
Hi, kitchen. That's okay. People call me that all the time.
Kitchen and Susan are equal in my brain.
People call me that all the time. I'm really interested in this broadcast because I've spent many years, working with professionals on graphic design, and it's so important. And we're all influenced, and we're all judgmental about what we see. And it either turns us on or it turns us off or makes us buy or makes us, judge quality, value, all that stuff. So I'm looking forward to this.
Well, I am not surprised because I know that your logo is behind you, and I love your logo. So I knew it would be right up your alley. And same thing with Jeffrey. Jeffrey, introduce yourself. Your logo is awesome too.
Well, thank you. It's really excited to be on this broadcast, and I'm Jeffrey Johnson, interior designer in Dallas, and I'm an inspiration moderator for Google+, and I'm really, really excited to hear what we all have to talk about because this is so important to our business. It's so important because we're all very visual these days. It really makes sense when it comes to your brand. So I'm ready to rock.
So we'll start off with the basics. You have your website, and you want to put part of it to be, part of it you want pictures. A lot of it is graphics. Solid colors, font choices, logo, maybe little icons, sales, little sales graphics. When you are starting from scratch, Ryan, what are the first things that you look for when you're talking to a client about their overall brand, their graphics image, and getting them to the place where they can find something that they really love?
For me, what I first of all like to do is just get to know the client a little bit, because whenever the client is wanting to rebrand themselves or something like that, it's really important that, to me anyway, to infuse their personality into the design as much as possible. But even beyond that, though, one of the main things I need to know is what's the message that you're trying to communicate with this logo, with this branding, with these colors. For example, I'm working on a project right now with a group of, they're like in the accounting industry, and their initial logo, I thought it looked pretty good, but I asked them, well, why do you want to change it? And apparently they wanted to change it because there's some orange in the logo. And there's, apparently to the people in the accounting industry, the color red is immediately communicating, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad. And they're marketing to accountants. And so because there's hues of red in their logo, they found that people were just not liking it, and their target market wasn't liking it. So I talked with them a lot about, what kind of message do you want to communicate, and because the word logo at the very base level, it can mean word, and what's the word that you want to share with the world? That's pretty much what it boils down to whenever I first start a project with people, is what do you want to communicate and who are you? Like what's your personality? How can we infuse that into your message? So
Now, what is your recommendation? There are a lot of sites out there, Fiverr and whatnot, where you can get someone to do some initial concepts for you really cheap, or there are tools out there where you could try to kind of put together a logo for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something that you would recommend to a brand in the beginning stage before they've really gotten to know what they want?
I mean, it really just depends on the client, their budget, and how important, you know, their time frame is and things like that. There's so many variables that come into it. When you go the route of Fiverr, especially, you want to make sure, one, that the designers who are supposedly designing these logos for you for $5, that they're not just ripping off somebody else's logo and, you know, just tweaking a couple things, because that happens a lot. But honestly, I have heard people say that they've had positive experiences on there, and that's great. I personally, the way I work, I will give, you know, at least 3 concepts for a client up front, and then, you know, they choose one of those directions, and then we do the revisions on them. Websites like Fiverr, 99 Designs, a bunch of these sites, you basically have a bunch of people sending a bunch of concepts up front that you can choose from, which certainly has its perks. It can give you more ideas of what you're looking for versus what you're not. However, the saying is definitely true. You do get what you pay for. And with a lot of these websites like that, you just have to be careful. And if you're looking for a whole bunch of ideas because you're not exactly sure what you want, sure, spend $5 and have somebody whip some stuff up, because it might have some effect on helping you, you know, cut down what you don't like, which is just as important as knowing what you do like. And I'm sure you guys deal with that a lot with the interior design business. You know, you probably have people say, well, this is the style that I like, this is a style that I don't, and you kind of try to have to basically get in their head and figure out what it is that they're looking for. But
Yeah,
regarding
absolutely.
a lot of those, a lot of the do-it-yourself logo sites, things like that, the danger with any of that stuff really boils down to the fact that you have no way of knowing if there's one other person on this planet that's using the same little shape that you picked, or if there's 24 people using that same little shape with just a different name next to it. And so the advantages for me of hiring an actual professional to go through and create something customized for you, it infinitely outweighs the advantages of going the other route. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, everyone that we talk to out here, you all know that I have a graphics background with customized walls, and you know, I worked in the graphics industry before starting customized walls for a very long time, and I can tell you that building your brand through graphics is pretty much the first step. You know what you want to sell, you have a company idea in mind, and now you have to say, what does that company mean? And you can get inspiration from a lot of different areas. I have worked with clients, a lot of my clients were graphic artists or graphics houses, and they would quite often narrow it down by having you share art you like, share logos you like. My customized walls logo were a printer, so I wanted to incorporate CMYK, and I liked the idea of, you know, very, you know, black with those pops of color, and I showed the graphic artist we were working with, Kate Spade's advertising at the time, because it was very similar to what I wanted. I wanted
Sure.
a lot of really nice pops of color, and I had sort of that direction. And then with the interior design community logo, as you can see, we wanted to incorporate Google Plus because that's how we started. So there's always a way to make your logo and your graphics really personal, and then that means that no one else will have that, because you've made it so personal to you and to your business and what you're trying to do, right?
Right, absolutely. And that's one of the things that a lot of people who aren't in this industry, who don't deal with marketing and advertising on a regular basis, you know, I guarantee you, if you're watching this, you've seen the font Papyrus, and and also the Comic Sans font. Now, a lot of the people who go to do their own logos will be essentially in Microsoft Word or some word processing thing, and they're kind of going through all these fonts, and they find two fonts that look different from everything else in their basic system fonts, Comic Sans and Papyrus. Now, you'll see Papyrus on logos for Chinese acupuncture places. You'll see it on logos for Mexican places. I mean, it's even the designer of Papyrus has said publicly that he regrets ever creating it because it's so overused. I mean, there's a website, I think it's papyruswatch.com, where people submit, oh, here's another one, and the funny thing is, it's only because the people who designed the logo, they basically try to do it themselves, and it really the market is so saturated with that look that I see a big company that has that on their logo. I don't even read the name of it. I just see Papyrus, and so that's a designer thing. But you want to have something that's unique to you. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that it's it can cost more to work with a graphic artist, surely, but it's all about getting what you're paying for, and if you're paying $5 for your logo, you're going to have a logo that's worth $5, and that's your brand. That's what you want to utilize forever. It's like buying your house and only paying $5 for it. You're stuck with it forever, or for a long time, and if you change it, it's a big deal. So every single thing changes, not just your graphics online either. It's like anything you've got printed, any invoices. It's just your logo is on everything. So spending a little bit of money to make sure that you have that done professionally is probably a really solid idea. Now, Brian, you do these great style guides for new clients. Sure. How often do you suggest that people actually do look at their branding, their logos, their website, to see if they need to make some modifications? Is it something you should do yearly, like a doctor's visit, or?
I mean, it really, for me, I guess, just depends on, how you're feeling about your logo. I mean, if you look at your logo and you look at your graphics and you look at the visual representations of your brand, wherever they may be, your website, your YouTube channel, print materials, whatever, and if you look at it and go, God, I hate this, you should probably change it. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that, myself included, as a designer, honestly, I could probably redo my logo every week and a half, and I'd still never be 100% satisfied with it. But if you're just out there starting a business, say you've been doing things for a year and a half, and you're not really feeling your logo anymore, maybe it's time to revisit it. But my biggest suggestion is, if you don't like it, then do your research and get it fixed. And I love the metaphor you brought up about the house, because it's essentially the same one I share with my clients whenever people are like, oh wow, well I can go on this site and get all this for this amount of money, and it's like, yeah, but you're not going to get the personal interaction. You wouldn't want to skimp on the foundation of your house if you're building a new house, because that's how I view all of the design elements. It's like, first of all, you have to decide your message and what you want to do. That's obviously step number one. But right after that is, how do you want to appear to the world around you? That's like the foundation of your brand, because like Jeffrey said, we all are incredibly visual nowadays. And people do judge a book by its cover. People do judge brands by their logos.
Oh, Lori, I would love to ask Ryan his thoughts, what he thinks of my logo.
I like it, Susan.
Let me move it.
Tell how you worked with your designer for your logo, because that's actually a really interesting story.
Okay, so I got this she had designed some of my websites and a couple of other things, and she's she's a graphic designer, and I think I paid her somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 for this logo, and she gave me a whole lot of ideas, but I knew, it's funny, like you said, I knew that it wanted to be highly personal and also to reflect what I do. And I'm a kitchen designer. So there was this painter, this Danish painter from, who knows, a long time ago, and he did very modern, kind of very modern paintings. So I showed her a bunch of paintings online. I said, this is his work, and I would just love something like, he does all these squiggly stuff. I said, I just like something that's mine, but with that sort of feeling. And so she did that. She did this crazy shape, which I instantly knew I loved it. And then this was her interpretation of my name. And I'll tell you why I like it. I like it because, first of all, I'm a kitchen designer. So to me, kitchen designers work with aesthetics and they work with analytics. Mm-hmm. So to me, the very straight line and the very block letters, very crisp, tailored letters are the analytics, and the crazy shape is the anything can happen aesthetic part of my business.
Absolutely.
And the color, was just kind of what I settled on, but that's, to me, it's a very, very personal, very cohesive, sort of logo, and I will bet you that more people don't like it than they do, but it says something to me.
I wouldn't think so. I think it's gorgeous, and I think it really does speak to you, and it feels high end, it feels artsy, but it also feels very clean, and I think that people recognize that.
And my name, I liked it because my name is strong. There's a strength to saying, okay, here's this person's name, So I thought that was interesting how she came upon that.
What was her, if you don't mind my asking, what's like start to finish on the project? About how long did it take?
Oh, I would say a couple of months.
Okay, see, that's good, because a lot of people, whenever they've come to me, I mean, as a designer, I don't know if it's just our culture nowadays or what, but there's this mentality that, we don't have anything else going on except for what that one client wants at that very moment yesterday. And so I tell people all the time, look, this is going to take some time, because, again, it's like we're building the foundation of a house. You have to put the time and the energy and the thought into it. I just finished a logo for Jason Frasca. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's on Google Plus too. But we had basically decided on a certain logo, after my initial concepts, and I give clients up, usually 1 to 2 revisions. And he came back after sitting on it for a day and was kind of like, hey, you know what? I actually want to go a different direction. Can we tweak this here? Can we move that here? And we ended up settling on something that you can see at his website. It's at jasonfrasca.com. And it just looks great, because it literally, that logo was the cornerstone for the rest of his branding. You see the colors and the text all matches up. I mean, and it looks so professional. And Susan, I appreciate you sharing that, because it's something a lot of people don't understand. It's like people think we're just dragging and dropping shapes and text here and there, but I've had people say, like, oh, well, I could do this in just a couple of minutes in a do-it-yourself program, but they don't understand that a lot of times as a designer, I'm spending sometimes hours just working on the space between the letters.
Right, that's right. Oh no, I know that. I know that there are so many details. And forget fonts. If you're an interior designer, it's like picking paint. It's like looking at tile. It's ridiculous. You could get crazy.
Yeah, and there's the psychology of it, like what that font really does say, how well it's used, what fonts it works with. It's very similar when you think about it to interior design, where a graphic designer needs that communication from you. They need to know what your inspiration pieces are, what you want your logo to say, what you want your brand to say, similar to what you work with an interior design client. And the process is similar too. It's this back and forth, what do you like about this? What do you not like about this? Until you can sort of craft something that becomes really a collaboration between the client and the designer.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
What I was going to say was, for any new business, you work with people that are just starting their business. What I want to know is, from a process standpoint, is how important is the personality of this person that plays in with their brand, meaning that, they may have a business strategy of whatever industry they focus on.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know, is it strictly you concentrate what their business strategy is, or do you find a way to tie in with their personality? Because sometimes when I see people's logos and then when I meet them, I don't see the tie-in between that person and their business and their personality. So
Right.
I just wonder, from what you do every day working with business owners, what are you finding? Are you finding you try to bring in their personality to tie in, or do you really just concentrate on what their business strategy is, the type of client that they want to get?
Sure. I definitely do everything that I can to put what I know about their personality into the process. One of the ways that I actually started doing this stuff recently was I started using private hangouts on air between myself and the client. So say I am actually working on finishing up a project for Dennis, Chef Dennis. And what I did, because I didn't really know him, he had seen me on one of Lori's shows and contacted me. And what I do is I set up an initial consultation, usually around half an hour, where after we've decided, okay, this is the direction I wanted to get a logo, I want to get this, this, and this, we'll do a consultation that I then record as a private hangout, and then am able to go back and watch it later if I need to. I send it over to the client so they can watch it, so they remember what we talked about. And I'll take notes during that consultation about, just the way that kind of like their personality is and how I feel being around them. But I'll also ask them, what do they want to communicate about their personality? So one of the things that, for example, another client I'm working with right now, he's asking me to do a logo, and I a lot of times will ask very kind of out-of-the-box questions that most people won't be expecting. So I'll ask, like, well, what kind of music do you like? What kind of music is if you could describe the logo you want as a particular song or a particular band, what would that be? And then during the design process, I will listen to that music just to kind of get in that zone. And it's a really interesting process. It's worked out very well so far. And if your logo had a mood, what mood would it be in? I mean, things like that. Because whenever people say phrases like, and I'm sure you guys as interior designers hear these things a lot, oh, well, I just want something to be creative, or I want it to pop, I want it to have style. Like, those are words that don't actually communicate anything legitimate and practical. They're, just arbitrary opinions. And so I try to get people to sway away from using words like that and then describe it in other ways so that I can then infuse their personality into it, as well as taking elements from obviously what business they're in. So
that's awesome. We actually have some comments, which comment tracker was down, so I'm tracking them via my iPhone. And Lee Rickler says he checked in 3 times this week with Ryan Rhodes and Lori Lazier. Does he get a badge or something? Maybe we should work on that, because I think Ryan and I could help you, maybe.
Yeah, we can get it printed and you can hang it behind you.
Right. Patty Remaker, a logo reflecting one's personality, very interesting, and I think that is very interesting. It's going to be with you for a long time. I would compare it to naming a child. Your child's name is going to live for a long time. You put a lot of thought, you put a lot of effort into naming your child. Mm-hmm. People should put just as much time into the logo process, into making something that's going to be sticking with you a long time. You're starting this business, I hope, because you want it to last. You want it to grow. And so that's an investment, and getting something that's the right thing is really important. And then Ann McDonald, one of our moderators, our business moderator, she's a fantastic business coach. She's a spectacular logo, Susan Sarah. It is so you. Beautiful. And I agree. And then Pamela, she's one of our friends from Messages of Hope. She says, hi, Lori. Hi back to Pamela. We're excited to have you here. I think that we should talk next about the next step. So you've got your website. You understand that you should probably hire a professional to do your website, to do your logo, to do your media kit. And when you have this, I mean, to do this kit that will, your style guide, that will give you an idea of your logo, how you want to present your logo, what your fonts will look like, what colors you should use, it gives you a direction. It's basically a roadmap of here's your logo, here's the colors, here's all of the fonts. This is your brand. Try to utilize this roadmap when you're doing other graphics. And that's really great, but we are in the world of social sharing. We have pictures, sometimes 10 pictures going out to Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and Google Plus and Pinterest, sometimes every hour, every 10 minutes. And no business owner can create that kind of graphics. We're sharing each other's images sometimes. That's not really 100% legal. We're putting other people's images on our sites. That's not also very legal. So there are options to create your own graphics online. And there's some fantastic tools out there. Canva.com, Canva.com. I'm going to put that in the stream. PicMonkey.com, PicMonkey.com. There's apps on your phone. I personally like Rona, the Rona design app, and I like WordSwag. So I'd check out those two. WordSwag, you can kind of make a word graphic with colors and different color options and different cool font options. And with Rona, you can put your own pictures on and create these great different beautiful icons and word graphics. But the trouble with all of these is that they tend to look the same. When someone is sharing a WordSwag image, I can tell that that's a WordSwag image. When someone's sharing a PicMonkey image or a Canva image or a Rona image, I know those graphics because I use those programs. I know that they're using those apps. And so the trouble with that is that when you're sharing those graphics, if you don't want the person who's watching it to think that's Rona, that's Canva, because they're not now thinking that that's you and that's your brand. They're thinking about that looks like that's an ad for that brand, that service of DIY photo editing. So there are probably some tips and tricks as a graphic designer that you might utilize to use those programs but still stay on brand message. What would that be?
For me, yeah, I certainly acknowledge that these sites are great for people who are trying to do things themselves and want to save some money, and I think that they're great as tools to have in your tool belt, so to speak. I would not rely on using them exclusively for your brand, because there are a lot of people that are doing that now because, hey, I can spend $1 and get this cool stock image that I can then put some text on in my website, just like a couple 100,000 other people. And so, Canva's making a killing off of all of this, which is great for them, but it's also, in my opinion, it's really it's really like overly saturating all the news feeds that I subscribe to. Same kind of thing. I'll scroll down, up Canva, 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 and it gets to a point where, to me, honestly, a lot of it looks like the papyrus thing, where it all blends together. I don't even see the content anymore because it looks so much the same. And I know that there are people that will disagree with me on that and might be upset. That's certainly your opinion, and you're entitled to it. But for me, I would encourage people, as much as you can, even on some of those apps, Lori, I believe that there's one called Over that you can use on your phone. A lot of these apps now, you're able to even install fonts that are on your computer onto your phone. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that you can do if you just go a little bit further with it. Like with Canva, I've used it to make some infographics. I've used it to make some greeting cards that we've had and things like that, but I don't exclusively use their content. I'll mix things together, I'll insert and upload my own content. And you know, that might be as simple for you if you're a small business owner that wants to do your own thing. There's an option within Canva where you can upload your own logo and you can upload your own photos and things like that. I mean, we all have mostly high definition cameras in our pockets, so there's really nothing stopping you from going out in public and say, wow, you know, I like this, the way the sky looks, click, and then you can upload that to any of these do-it-yourself websites, and you have a custom graphic for free that, you know, yeah, you can add some text on it, add your logo, and I would advise doing things like that much more than just using all the stock things that are available, because like you said, it does start looking like it's an advertisement for the company instead of for you. So
yeah, it's a tricky thing because at the end of the day, no one has time to create, you know, or the budget. You know, a small business owner does not have the budget to have a graphic artist on staff creating 20 images a day that they can share. So I totally get it that you would want to utilize these products, and I use them, and I encourage you to use them. But there are little tips you can use, like for instance, PicMonkey lets you put in your own graphics now. They just released that, so you can add your own fonts. If you've gotten a style guide, you know which fonts you should be using. You can upload some of your own images, maybe put your, you know, incorporate your own colors, incorporate your own font choices so that you have a theme. It looks like you, it feels like you. You know, the overlays of having your logo at the bottom of every image. You know, there are definitely tips and tricks to stay away from what looks like what everyone else is going to do. I mean, if honestly you're going on there and then your other business owners are going on there and you all look the same, that you become invisible.
Right.
It becomes invisible because people aren't looking at that second that they're looking at the photograph. They're not thinking, I need to read this because this is about, you know, customized walls or Susan Sarah. They're looking at it and reading, that's Canva, and that becomes an ad for these sites rather than an ad for you, which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to make it as an ad for you. And it's not to say they're not awesome, because they are so awesome. I mean, they save you so much time, and they are so worth looking into because there are some really cool functions and really cool fonts and really cool ideas for design that you can implement, but just doing it that little extra mile where you might want to make sure you're using your fonts, make sure you're using your colors, make sure you're using you know, more of your look and feel and putting your logo on it. And those types of things can be huge, right?
I mean, it makes a really big difference because, like for me, a lot of times what I'll do is I do a lot of work on my iPad because there are programs on there that I have access to that I simply can't just turn around and draw on my monitor. I don't have a touchscreen monitor, and I find that the iPad is incredibly responsive for this kind of work. And so what I'll do a lot is maybe I'll start with a solid base color, and then I'll add some textures to it and some different apps that I have. Then I'll save that to my camera roll on my phone or my iPad. Then I'll open that image in another one. So a lot of times, whenever I look at my photo album, it goes from, you know, just the base color, and then there's like 12 pictures of progress before I get the final image, whether that's, you know, a meme that I'm sharing online, some inspirational quote to, you know, help people through their day or whatever. But at the end of the day, when I'm finally done, I'll open up another program and put my logo down in the bottom corner because I'm doing this to spread awareness about my brand at the same time that I'm doing it to inspire and encourage people. So if you just go that extra step, you know, your stuff will look more like you as opposed to like everyone else, and that's really the point that you're in business for in the first place, is because you want to make a mark on the world, you want to get a message out, and it's very difficult to get a message out if everyone's essentially visually communicating the same message. So.
Yeah, I've got a question for you,
I feel
Ryan.
for business owners out there because it's like we're all in the same boat of we have our business and we don't we can't be everything to everyone, right? We can't all be professional photographers slash graphic artists slash, web designers slash writers. Oh, and then run a business.
Right.
And that's what the internet is sort of, putting us out there to do. It's like we have our business, our daily business that we run, plus all of these new tasks. I one time was speaking about Google Plus at a trade show, and a friend of mine was introducing me and saying, I was doing a talk about Google Plus, and she said, "Meet this girl, Lori. She's gonna teach you how to add 3 hours to your day." And I was like, that's so insulting, but at the same time, so incredibly true. Because social media and web and all of these little things that you need to do every day, or that you can do every day, it takes time, and it takes time to do it correctly. But I think that it needs to be said that those tools are there, and it's so great that there are free tools out there that kind of teach you about design.
Absolutely.
Even if you're not utilizing the stock, text graphics, or you're seeing how it should be laid out. How you could maybe put your fonts bigger and then smaller, and then adjust it slightly so that it won't. It will give it some visual interest. You're learning from that and learning how to make good design from that, and start by using those pre-made tools, but then see if you can make the same thing happen without using them.
Right.
With your own fonts, with your own colors, right?
Absolutely. Jeff, didn't you have a question? Or?
Yes.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, what have you seen the last 12 months as far as any new things or anything that have changed when it comes to creating a graphic logos for business owners? Are you seeing the upswing of new business owners, starting a new business? And also, what are you seeing that's going to happen the next 12 months?
I think that the biggest thing that I've noticed over the last year or so has been how much more simple it has become to kind of do your own thing. It takes time, it takes energy, but there's apps that come out every day on our tablets and on our phones that you can make things that make a powerful statement if you take the time to learn these applications and create your own stuff. I think that one of the big things, kind of piggybacking off of what Lori was saying, that you're going to see more and more of is that people are going to be doing their own thing, and they're going to, in that process, you want to stand out from the crowd because you want people to hear what you have to say over all the other stuff. And part of the problem with that, and also the benefit of that, is that it does inspire new entrepreneurs every day. It does have people realizing, wow, if this guy, have you guys ever seen, there's a website, I think it's iwilldrawacatforyou.com.
Yes.
I'll give you one guess what he does. He was making, at least the last time I talked with him, I think he was making like 6 figures a year drawing cartoon cats on the internet. Like, people send him a message and say, hey, I want a cat for my dad's birthday, holding a cake and saying happy birthday, Joe. And so for $20 or whatever, he draws it on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, sticks it in the mail, and mails it out. And This guy he's just cleaning house. But the thing is, it's an incredible niche market. He was on Shark Tank for it. I mean, it's like, really? So I see stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, if he can do that, what can we do? Like, the sky is the limit, I will draw a pig for you.com. I mean, whatever. Like, there's so much you can do. And I think that we're only going to see an increase in that. I think we're going to see a very big decrease in these overarching giant organizations. I love shopping on Amazon. I love Google, I love Apple, all these other big companies and what they do, but I think that at some point it's going to get to a place where there will be more and more people ignoring what all the big guys are doing and focusing on specific niche markets because it just gets to a point where it's too much. It's like, well,
Well,
Amazon's
not
doing
only
phones
that,
now.
but you can buy everything online, so it does even the playing field. You can have a website and to the outside consumer look as big as any other company out there if you have the right graphics, the right look, the right product line, and you can offer something different, and that allows for variety. Anyone can do it. Anyone can start a business and bring it online, and you don't have to have a retail store or a shipping big warehouse. A lot of these businesses are starting out of their homes, and it's really exciting because the possibilities are endless. And there's the other thing I think is interesting about the graphics tools is that it's bringing sort of that professional tool and trying to make it easier for people, which I think that's awesome. And that's, at the end of the day, what everyone wants, something that will make it easier for me. I want it to be easy so I can just do it really quick and it doesn't take a whole lot of time because I have to get back to my other stuff. Right. And today you actually brought me to a site that does contracts online, like legal contracts. If you're a writer, if you're a blogger, if you're doing any freelance work, photography work, graphic arts work, you can have like a little contract just by filling out certain things on your phone, and I think that shows that more and more people want professional service, but they want it free to no cost, and they want it to be fast. And I think that it's great that some of these things are out there because while you're looking at it, while you're playing with it, you actually are learning. So
absolutely. And for those of you who are interested, the app is called Shake. Off of Handshake, and I think it's currently only available on the iOS system, but I know they're working on an Android and a web version. But basically, I just open it up, and you can click Create an Agreement, Freelance, Keep Confidential, Buy, Sell, Rent, Loan Money, or you can create your own, and you just tap the little prompts, and you go through, and it asks you things like, are you sharing sensitive information? A non-disclosure agreement helps guarantee your private information stays private. Are you doing this on behalf of you or a company? And there's they walk you through this process.
Like you ask the questions, you say what you're charging, you say what your delivery date is. It walks you through like a series of 10, 15 questions, and at the end it has a contract with that guideline, and you can sign right on your phone and send it to somebody, and they can sign it right on their phone. I mean, it's stuff like that. I mean, I have an app on my phone that does like Photoshop clipping. You can, I'm not sure which one is. Oh, juxtaposer, so that you can take an image in the background, and then you can erase the background in one of the images and put them on top of each other. And I had a picture of my niece coming out of the water. She was freezing when we were in California, and I'm from New Hampshire, so I'm like, come on, it's California. The water is warm compared to the Atlantic. And she's like, oh, she's like, so I took her, I clipped her all out, and then I put her in different like cold places, like with penguins and stuff. And I sent it to her every day. I showed her, here's you with the penguins. Here's you with, and she's just cracking up. But things like that you can do while you're watching television on your phone or on on an iPad. It's that stuff you could never have thought of doing unless you were a professional.
Nope.
2 years ago, 3 years ago, you know what I mean?
There's one that a friend of mine, his name's Ben Garrett, put out. I met Ben a couple years ago, or about a year and a half ago, and it's called Union. And it's very similar. It's a masking application where you can change blending modes and mix photos together, and you can create some really amazing stuff with it because you can zoom in very, very far and do some really intense detail work. So that's another one that does that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think a lot along the lines of what you were saying too. The issue with this whole concept and just the way the internet is now. Like you said, people don't need the brick and mortar stores for a lot of what they're doing nowadays. I get people pretty regularly who will call me from my Yelp listing or find my website, and they're saying, hey, I'm trying to find your place. I'm driving around the zip code because I just put my zip code, not my home address. And I'm like, I don't have a store. Like, I don't have a design studio. This is my studio. I work on it right here and right here, you know. So it's interesting because you can show people, hey, I'm a professional, but I'm mobile. You know, I can come to you. We can meet for coffee. We can meet over hangouts or whatever. There's so much that you can do nowadays that you just couldn't even fathom 5 years ago. I mean, we're basically like beyond Star Trek at this point with some of the stuff we're doing.
I know, and even big professional apps are coming to phones and to iPads. I know that Lightroom just came to iPhone, right?
Yep.
So,
I think it was just yesterday or the day before.
Yesterday. So
and the other thing
that's
too
awesome. I was waiting for that.
people aren't watching TV like they used to. I mean, they're watching Netflix, they're watching Amazon, they're on the internet, they're on YouTube, and I think it's kind of like a changing of the guard, so to speak, and I know that the big cable companies are freaking out about it because they're these dinosaurs that have been, you know, having a monopoly on everything for so long. But, you know, if you don't put yourself out there and get a solid web presence, get a solid branding presence, I'm just of the opinion, like, the wave is coming. You either learn how to surf it or you're going to drown.
Hey,
Right.
Ryan. Hey,
Yep.
Ryan, what are some trends for websites? I mean, in terms of text and blogs over the past year or so, I've certainly seen the font get bigger and bigger so that people can read easier. What about design, like design for the home page, where you first come and you have that, either you're going to feel emotion and an attractiveness, or you're going to be turned off, you're going to be very judgmental. What's new? Where are things going?
There's a lot of push towards flat design. I think that happened because of Apple and Google and just the way that they do things. But
Explain what flat design is, because a lot of people out there might not know what flat design is.
Flat design
this is
big. Flat design. If you here, let me pull up my website real quick, and I'll screen share so you can see what I mean. So basically, and this will also kind of address your question about the website, Susan. Let me see here. So if you see here, this is our homepage at this point. It's just, you know, two little cartoon characters, me and my wife, and we're just saying, what can we create for you? And if you click on that, you'll go to my contact page. But if you scroll down, you'll see, you know, this is also our portfolio. You can click on any of these different topics for things that we've done. If you go under branding, you'll see with a lot of these logos, this is a concept I did for Chef. But you see how with the flat design, there's no shadow to it. There's not a lot of 3D look to it unless there's like a small gradient.
Guys.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't use 3D or the beveled edges or the,
right.
You know, it's all colored in flat. So it's not trying to create a drop shadow or
right.
Like,
well, are you talking about logos, or I'm talking about like a home
it's in
page,
everything.
like web? Like,
yeah, it would be with everything. So
okay.
like you see how on the home page here, there's no shadow, there's no three-dimensional effect on these.
Okay.
Even with these, they're solid colors, but there's no like three-dimensional effect on it.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big thing right now. But on the website front, you know, you want to have on your homepage, before people have to scroll, something that will immediately bring a call to action. And there's a ton of great websites out there that list, you know, what you should have on your landing page, that kind of thing. But if you scroll down, you see the main thing I want them to see is my portfolio and thinking, well, what can these people create for me, for my brand? Oh, they can create products, they can inspire my audience, they can retouch photos, they can do branding, abstract art, illustration, whatever. And then as you scroll down, oh yeah, I want custom design, absolutely. And then obviously we have some recommendations from some people that we've worked with in the space. This is a recommendation from Jack Canfield's team that we did some work for. And then down at the very bottom, I've got a picture of me and my wife and some basic contact info. So you want to have just a handful of things, and you don't want it to be too convoluted. You don't want to have people being confused when they go on the website. And it's hard work. I mean, if you've not tried to do a landing page before, I will probably change mine within the next month and a half. I've changed it probably 8 times in the last 3 months because it's always about trial and error. It's always about figuring out what's going to get those conversions, what's going to get people to click on your call to action. So.
Sure, sure, and keeping it fresh too. I mean, you want some people come back. We talked about that last week with Michael about keep it fresh, keep your homepage fresh because when someone comes back, they want to see something different. They want to see something new.
Right.
But it's hard. I mean, I know that the designers that are out there with your websites and our viewers, it's a struggle to make sure that you have great graphics, that you have all of these components, and I know it can be very expensive. So I think that the key I can say is that make sure you invest in that foundation. You get you get your logo, you get your fonts, you get your colors, you have an idea of what your brand is going to say, and then you stay on that message as best you can. You create as much of your own art as you can. You stay on that, using those fonts, using those colors as much as as you can, so that people always start to say, this is that brand. This is the Susan Sarah brand. This is the Customized Walls brand, and they won't think of anything else when they're looking at your graphics. You have them in that look and that feel, and they know it and expect it from you.
And you want it to blend in too. You want it to be. You don't want it to be like this big glaring thing that's like, here's my logo. You want it to be something that's subtle, and so that your message is what shines through.
Right.
Let me show you here real quick Jason's website. Can you guys see this?
Oh yeah, I love that.
So this is the logo that I designed for him. It was his initials, and they kind of just all go together really nicely. And as you see, that same orange, what I did is I composed a style guide which showed him exactly what the hexadecimal code number is for this particular color orange. I sent over the final font that we chose, and then you see that theme is consistent. The white background, with the orange accent, and you'll see that the whole way through his website. When you click on the buttons, it all matches. I mean, it makes such a huge difference.
Oh, I love that. And that's what it's about right there.
Yeah. And so that's what I meant about it being subtle. Like it's in the background, but it's also the entire theme that you're getting from looking at something. There's so much to it, and it just takes practice. It really does.
Yeah. But the great thing is that there are some great tools out there.
Absolutely.
To utilize, and the more you use them, the more you can learn about it, and the easier it will get for you, so that it can take you 5 minutes. You can take that picture like you said of the sky because it looks great, and in 5 minutes you can have a graphic that you're sharing on your social channels, but it still looks like you. Right. And it still feels like you. It doesn't have to be a big long process. It just can't look like everybody else's, or it's not about your brand, it's about theirs.
Right.
All right. Any other questions, Susan?
No, that was really great information. Very interesting.
How about you, Jeffrey? Are you good?
I think the most important thing is, for any new business owners or any current owners, they really need to hire graphic designers because they really do great work. And, and I think it's very important that we support them because they know what they're doing, because you're dealing with your website, your blogs, your mobile apps everywhere, because it's going to look different in all the different software apps, you name it. Your letterhead or your envelopes, whatever. So I should think it's very important. It's worth your time and the money and the headache. Let them do the work. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, and if you made some mistakes, you have gotten into a path and you're very unhappy with the way your stuff looks like, I agree with you, Ryan. If you're at that point where you're looking at your site, you're looking at your logo, and you just don't like it, and you're looking at all of these great new logos that people have, and you're wanting something like that, reach out to Ryan. He has a great, he usually gives a great discount to people we refer, and he works with you. You know, he will do the consultation with you and then meet with you over Hangout and actually show you his process a little bit and work with you right online, and you can see you can help him make the changes to make it really exactly what you want, and he can lead you down the path of having a logo that you really are proud of, and having it change your whole website because you have that. You have the fonts, you have the right colors, you have the roadmap to make your brand stand out, and then you utilize that when you are making these simple graphics that you want to share, to just keep it looking the same, feeling the same.
Yeah, it's the consistency factor.
Yeah. And if you follow that, then it should be easy. It should get easier for you. You can share these cool graphics. You can make something in 5 minutes and share it out there, but it still will feel like you. And that's huge. That's huge. That's really the whole battle. And I have to say as a final warning, because there's so much of it out there. Get rid of the drop shadows. It really does date you. It really dates the site. Get rid of beveled edges, buttons that look like they're drop shadow. I mean, I have a separate business with Plus My Reach with Michael Mason, and Michael Mason loves a drop shadow. That boy loves a drop shadow. And so it took us a little while to convince him that was no bueno. So we had to say, no, that makes it look like it's 1985. So definitely get rid of those. There are certain things that you can do that will update your branding and your graphics and get you feeling fresh and new on your site, and that will drive customers. It really does. That look and feel, it makes them more comfortable.
Right. Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Ryan, so much for coming. And everyone, you have Ryan's website right here in the description, and we will make sure that you have links to Canva and PicMonkey and some of those great tools that we mentioned. Also, make sure you visit Ryan's site because he has some cool logos, and get in touch with him if you need a logo or a brand consultation. Ryan, you are always available on Google Plus here, so circle him in, and make sure you visit us on interiordesignCommunity.com and Interior Design Community on Google Plus. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye, guys.